Episode 98, The God's Concept. Good evening, I am Tomas Guevara, and this is the channel Rewriting the Reality. Subscribe to this channel to remember who you are and what you are doing here. In today's episode 1 will explain the God's concept. It is very common, that we devalue ourselves thinking that we were created by a superior being, God, the aliens, or the extraterrestrials, or that the universe will give us everything we ask for. We create religions for a reason. We create the concept of God, or a higher power, for a reason. That reason is not actually that there is a higher power, but the reason is we are physically focused in a physical reality which incorporates a significant aspect of its design and separation. First of all, we occupy separate bodies. But in addition to that, we have created physical manifestations, ourselves, our body consciousness, which is a singular entity, a unit, and we have chosen to create those body manifestations in a considerably small manner, physically small. We are physically small. Small compared to our world, our universe, our reality. But we have done that intentionally. We have created small manifestations to not distract ourselves from or overshadow all the other manifestations that are extensions of us, our planet, our universe. These are all extensions of us. But within physical reality, they do not appear as such, because it is all manifest in entities, that element of separation that we are not a rock, we are not a tree, we are humans. We are not a lion or an elephant. Every manifestation has a different designation, and they are all separate entities. Now, in creating all these entities, physical manifestations, and many of them, and proportioning them in a fashion that we are relatively small in individual manifestations, but that being purposeful to accommodate our numbers. Allow me to remind you that our physical senses are avenues of communication, objective communication, and they are very strong, and they are also designed to input information in a very absolute manner. What our senses connect to and the information that they input us into is not in question. It is always a statement. Like I said, our senses and any avenue of communication that we incorporate. Thinking is not a communication avenue, feelings, or the message behind the feelings, are an avenue of communication. Intuition is a communication. Impressions are communications. What we feel physically is a signal for a communication. Our senses input information. Those are communications. With the design of our reality, including separation and including our choice of design of ourselves, being relatively small, and the design of our senses to be inputting literal or absolute information that influences our perception, and our perception creates evaluations and our actual reality. Therefore, in that, our perception evaluates all of this information, and in a physical sense, in relation to our outer senses, it views that we are physically small and that our universe is physically exceptionally large and vast. It also inputs and processes all that information in relation to communications with the body consciousness, and its abilities in physical manifestation, which appear to be somewhat limited in physical manifestation. Therefore, we intrinsically incorporate an inner knowing of more. When we enter physical focus, at birth, we incorporate that knowing that this physical manifestation and the size of it is not all of us. Therefore, in incorporating that knowing, remember, our thought mechanism is designed to be a translator. It translates information. Therefore, our thought mechanism is attempting to translate that knowing, this is not all we are. We are more than what our senses input in information that we are. Our thought process is translating that information, but it cannot quite objectively reconcile the difference between what we know but the absoluteness of what our senses are inputting. Now, what occurs is, our thought process begins to translate and interpret that, and it invents an explanation. And thus, is born God or higher power, or enlightenment or nirvana. Those are our names for our experience of more of ourselves than we can see. Now, in that, this is also an aspect regarding magic. We have incorporated two questions in one question. These experiences that we incorporate that seem to be changing some aspect of our reality or presenting to us something that we want or that we accomplish, and it seems to be beyond our physical self, and it seems to be magic. It is all interconnected. It is all interrelated. When we are speaking to, or praying to, our higher self or a God or the true source, or any expression that we identify as an outside source that is greater than ourselves, what we are doing is we are communicating with us. Because we are greater than this physical manifestation which is our body. There is no ultimate higher power. There is no ultimate greater expression. It is all encompassed in, contains and resides within this small physical manifestation which is our body. It is not outside of us. Let me express to you our evaluation, our interpretation, our translation that our thought mechanism designs are, in our terms, the opposite of what we think. We incorporate the idea that we are the small pinpoint, and from that pinpoint it all expands outward, and that is what we see. Once again, input from senses, which are absolute and offering absolute information. We see all around us vastness. And as we look into our skies, we see even more vastness, and the farther we explore into our skies we see the universe, which is even more expanded and vast. Therefore, it seems that we are the small pinpoint and all else expands outward from that. It is the reverse. We expand inward, all of that is, figuratively speaking, a hologram of the vastness that is within. For example, there is this concept in Christianity that God is within everyone and everything. And that is a kernel of truth. There is truth there. When we're not physically focused or in some other reality, there is no separation between us. There is no distinction, and this is huge. We do incorporate physical manifestations in our reality that are small examples or representations of what we are in this principle in reverse, such as film. From a small strip of film in motion can be projected vast images. They are being projected from the movement of very small films, very thin, very small, but from that they are projecting immense images. We are the same. All that expansion is inward. It already is residing inward. What we see outward is merely the projection of that. It is a reflection. But what I will express to you is that it is very understandable and very common that individuals generate this separation between themselves as an individual focus and the concept of this greater vastness. And in that, this is in actuality regardless of all of our religions that do incorporate some aspects of truth in them. But this is such an enormous concept and so foreign to us, and so contrary to what our senses are inputting to us continuously, every moment of our existence, that it becomes very difficult to believe or to trust, for trust is merely another word for believing. That is why it becomes very difficult to believe, or trust, that we are that vastness. And therefore, it is easier and, in a manner of speaking, to an extent, comforting to express that there is some greater, vast force that we are in communication with, or that we are connected to, that is invested in our best benefit. Let me tell you all, literally it matters not. Individuals incorporate this idea that it is better or that we are more spiritual, or that we are more enlightened, if we attribute everything to ourselves. It matters not. What is important is that we are allowing ourselves our own expression, our own freedom, our own importance, and that we are moving always in the direction of our greatest benefit. If we can believe in a higher power, if we can believe in God, if we can believe in true source, it matters not what we label it, for believing is merely another word for trusting. Therefore, if we can trust that, it matters not that we are creating a name for it. Eventually, as we continue to shift, as we continue to widen our awareness and expand, it all moves together. And eventually that does become translated into us, or that true source. We are that greater or higher power, we are that God. But what is more important first is to be connecting in a manner that allows us to trust, that allows us to believe. And if that requires an invented outside source to begin with, that is entirely acceptable, because it allows us to practice and become familiar with what that expression of trust is. That is that inner knowing that belongs to us, that is intrinsic to us, and that we deserve it, merely for the factor that we exist. That is our freedom. Most people do not understand the experience of trust. They intellectually understand the concept of trusting, but they do not necessarily allow themselves to experience it. We pay so much attention and place so much importance upon what we do not want, or what we do not have, or what we do not like, that it continuously reinforces in every day of our existence. It continuously reinforces not trusting. Therefore, any avenue of experientially expressing trust in any capacity, and practicing with that, would be tremendously beneficial, for that sets a foundation. We cannot move into a genuine expression of trusting ourselves if we cannot even define what trust is, for we are not experiencing it. Trusting is an experience, which does trigger feelings, which, once again, are those signals that are expressing statements to us about what we are doing in the moment. When we are expressing trust, we will generate the feeling of safety. We will generate a feeling of calm. We will notice that we are expressing a state of being, of contentment, of satisfaction. What does that mean? It means we are not wanting. We are satisfied and content with being. And this is not to say that we will never want, for that is a part of expanding. Yes, we will want, but that is a different want. It is not based on what we do not have, or what there is not enough of, or what we cannot do. It is based in I already have this, and I want more. I want to explore more. People misinterpret the meaning of satisfaction and contentment. They incorporate an idea that if we are content that we will be unmotivated, which is entirely incorrect. We are always motivated to explore and experience more, because that is point of consciousness, to be always evolving. Therefore, not matter what name to assign to consciousness, it can be God, the source, etc. I would like to clarify that I don't believe in the Bible, nor I am a follower of the Bible, but I read it 3 times, and if you have read it, then you will remember that Jesus said to look for the truth inside of us, not outside of us. You, me, and everyone is the center of the universe. And like Jesus said, we are gods. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel.